Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we proudly present our spectacular show of podcast magic and imagination full of Disney wonder, news, and pop culture. It's the Main Street Electrical Podcast with Jenn Dave and David Dollar.
Well, hey, Jen.
Hey, Dave.
It's the Main Street Electrical Podcast. Welcome back to the Main Street Electrical Podcast. That is Jen. I am Dave. We're here to talk about D23 and or Destination D23 and or it'll be called apparently D23, the ultimate Disney fan event. I think no longer they took out the word Expo and now they added like 7 words to it. So, and so of course there are some of the blogs that are like D23 is going away. It's the Expo word is going away.
The wording has changed.
Yes.
That's
so
okay.
Next year we'll be like, here's our review of D23, the ultimate Disney fan event. And I even try to put that together going, does that stand for anything? No, it doesn't. It's just a lot of words. So we'll talk about that a little bit later. But Jen, how did you Disney this week?
This one's going to be a little bit of a cop-out. I'm not going to lie. But we actually recorded an episode last night. So I had to use some last night. I have my Disney Parks scratch pad that I do use. I know I always joke. I am very much electronic. However, if I'm on the phone taking notes, I will use this to scribble and then transcribe into my electronic notes. So I do love my little Disney Parks. Currently, I do have scribbled down 3 book titles with random like conversations I was having with people yesterday. Like, oh yeah, I'm reading this book and it's so good. So I have 3 written down.
Nice. I don't remember if I mentioned this or not, but I guess I want to say last week. I don't remember if I did it before the show or not, but last week I finally finished Walt Disney, an American Original by Bob Thomas. This is kind of referred to as the definitive Walt Disney biography. There was another one out there by Neil Gabler, which is longer. It's a little more in depth, which kind of enjoyed a little bit more because it's more detailed. I'm a nerd when it comes to details and stuff like that. But Bob Thomas wrote this in like 75 or something. It's been updated
not
through
long
the years
after his death.
Yes, and so now there's an update for the 100th anniversary of Disney, and it's a wonderful book. I've got it on audio, and I actually got the copy of the book itself. It's got got kind of a silver cover now with Walt Disney standing there. There's Mickey Mouse, and it's really, if you want really, really, really in depth, go the Neil Gabler book. It is like a 600-page tome. It's huge. Oh wow! This one's only about 300 pages, and it really will give you the highlights on everything. It kind of tells the story of Walt's beginnings and all the way through, dealing with the silly symphonies, hiring and firing the animators, the Walt Disney, the strike that led to the compilation movies like "So Dear to My Heart," "Make My Music," dealing with the government.
I love "Make My Music."
Those are great, but I mean, it's fun to hear the backstories behind those.
Sure.
How big of a deal Snow White was versus the failure of Pinocchio and Bambi and Dumbo, and how those just all kind of collapsed on him. And then building the parks, of course, which is one of my favorite things. I'm like, I can't wait to get to the parks. It's one of those kind of books you're like, what's coming, and it's like, I can't wait to get to this part. And how he put the parks together, and it's so cool to hear his words being spoken, because he's such a visionary, and he had such incredible ideas of what he wanted and how he wanted it. And yes, the money was important, and he admitted he was a wealthy man. But his dream, he's like, I'll basically would spend everything to make this dream happen. And it's a great book.
And he did a couple times, as I recall. I mean, literally.
He did. Yeah, he was. I mean, there was notorious stories of the screaming matches behind the scenes between Roy and Walt. And Walt's like, I want to build this. And Roy's like, we don't have any money. Walt's like, we'll borrow some. We borrowed everything we could from everybody we could. We don't have any money. And they love each other so much. And but yeah, like Steph and I are kind of, I think every marriage needs this. You need a Walt, you need a Roy, you need somebody with the vision and with the dream of like, let's do this. And you need somebody kind of grounded going, we can do that. However, we're gonna have to make some changes to do that because we've got to get this
because we have to make it,
And my beloved Stephanie, she's the Roy, I'm the Walt. I'm like, let's just do this. And she's like, yeah, we can't do that. That's like $7,000. I'm like, well, can we figure it out? No. So, okay, well, I guess we'll just go for pizza. And that's everybody needs a Roy. I'm assuming, you're a business owner, so you might have a little bit of Roy and Walt.
I have a little bit of both. Brady's also a business owner. I will say, when it comes to visionary, though, Brady is very visionary. So he is very much a Walt. And so I do have aspects of Walt, but I have aspects of Roy. So it's interesting. I will probably play Roy to his Walt
Mhm.
in some arenas, but then it's vice versa in other ones. So it's an interesting blend for the two of us.
I can just hear the two of you screaming at each other. I want Glenn Fruity in club level. We don't need club level. We have the grand suite. I want the club level. Just go back and forth. And, it's, we have the Polynesian club level. And that's what happens at the Novotny home. You can just tell.
Something like that.
So this week, and before we jump to D23, this week, of course, is notable because it's 9/11. And 22 years ago, we had what is counted as the worst terrorist attack on our soil. And we're not going to get into all that. We did lose 3,000 of our humans, of our friends, of our countrymen. And, one of the things that I think that it's a fascinating story, and I want to say great because of everything that surrounds it. But what happened at Disney World on 9/11? And I've had people ask me this. Do you know what happened? And the story is very cool for this thing. Disney World, of course, they're on Eastern time. So when the first plane hit the first tower, everybody was glued to the television. What's happening right now? What's going on? I'm hearing prop plane. I'm hearing a missile. Nobody knew. And the executives were the same thing. They're watching, going, well, it looks like there's an accident. By the time the second plane hit, they knew it was some sort of coordinated attack, be it terrorist or something else. Something was happening.
Something was going on.
And so Disney knew that if they closed their parks and the other parks stayed open, that everybody would flock from their parks to the other parks. And that's not a money thing. It wasn't like we'll lose money. It was more of
no.
We don't want to put pressure on them. We don't want to make because that would make them look like the bad guys. So they actually coordinated and talked to the leaders of Universal and SeaWorld. They had a meeting that day.
Which they do that a lot for different things, like hurricanes. They do that.
Exactly. And they're like, what do we do here? And they decided we're going to close the parks. Now, Disneyland had the benefit of not being open because they're on Pacific time. So
they hadn't even opened up.
Between 8 and 9 Eastern time, it was like between 5 and 6.
5 and 6,
So they never opened. But they basically told their cast members, had a quick meeting with all their cast members. The cast members got to each park. They started at the back of the park. They joined hands, and they made this human net and basically started walking slowly towards the front of the park with hands held, making sure that everybody was crowded towards the front. Security guards kind of walking past them. They were clearing the rides and everything, and just telling cast members, hey, due to circumstances, or telling guests, due to circumstances beyond our control, we have to close the parks right now. And they were instructed to not say anything about what was going on unless directly asked. And even then, a lot of the cast members didn't know. They were at work. I mean, they didn't know what was going on.
Well, it's not like they've been in front of a TV.
Well,
and cell phones were
exactly. So some people had flip phones. I didn't even have a flip phone until 2004. And so
flip phones, you're like getting like basic text,
right?
Maybe.
Well, not only that, there was another thing too, where a news report had leaked out, completely false, but somehow it had leaked that there were hotspots around the country that were terrorist targets, including Disney World. So people were a little freaked out by that. Completely false. And Eisner just blew his stack. This is being reported, and ultimately it had to be false. It was proven false. But
it was a rumor. I mean,
it was a rumor. So they were trying to very carefully get people out back to the resorts. Of course, now all the resorts have all the people there, so they're bringing extra cast members in. They're bringing live entertainment in. The characters are dancing around and walking around, taking pictures of the kids. They're doing games, they're doing movies. They're just going above and beyond. They're offering food at discount prices, and they're doing a lot of things, almost like hurricanes. Yeah. Except, everybody was watching TV and kind of seeing this is, I mean, hurricane's a natural event. You can't control it. You hunker down, you do what you can. This is like, there's so much uncertainty. Nobody could fly home for a couple of days. And, so
planes were grounded.
Planes were grounded. I mean, of course, the car rental places were just jam packed. Oh, totally. Car. And I think everybody knows somebody that was stuck. I mean, I think the pastor of our church was in San Francisco for 4 days, couldn't come home because the planes were grounded,
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Disney handled it like as perfectly as possible for that kind of a scenario. And it was handled with, there was no rioting, there was no freak out, there was no
and that's like an unprecedented, hate to use that word after the whole pandemic thing, but literally unprecedented, like that had never happened. So they did a great job dealing with something like that.
I think they did a fantastic job. So, that's the story of 9/11 on Disney. What happened, and maybe we'll tell that story again next year. I don't know. It's an interesting story to go back to. But this past weekend, D23, Destination D23, as they call it, because for the uninitiated, every other year they do a D23 event. It's a massive event in Anaheim. I think they've announced next year it's going to be double capacity. They're going to actually increase the size of it. And if you've never been to these kind of conferences, what they do is they have different what's called panels and conference rooms and stuff. And this is where they might have an Imagineer panel where Disney Imagineers will be
Right.
talking about the secrets of Frozen
Yes.
and Tangled. And so they're just going through a seminar of like, this is how we did things. This is how we, whatever.
Yeah.
They'll have
Which is so
instructional things.
fascinating.
Very fascinating. They'll have the history of Disney. They had like a display, like an audio. They had an audio animatronics display. So some of the old animatronics from a lot of the old rides were on display,
Yeah.
like moving and working and things, and
I
stuff
love
you
that.
never see otherwise. For D23 especially, like Marvel will have a panel. This is what's coming up on our shows. This is what's coming up, and that's when, of course, you would see Chris Evans come out and Robert Downey Jr. come out, The Rock, and whatever for their movies and things. The parks panel is always the bigger one. That's the one that everybody wants to go to because that's what's happening at the parks. And so they did that. Josh came out. He had a few guests that came out, Imagineers and things like that. It was hosted by the Muppets.
Miss Piggy. Hello. Sam Eagle.
Did you hope that they were going to make it a Muppets announcement? Like we're going to do something with the
I
Muppets?
did a little bit. I was like,
yeah.
Are we going to get some more Muppets? I mean,
yeah.
I'm glad that they are incorporating the Muppets in any way we can get them. So
it was nice to see them, but that's pretty much all we got. Was just
that's all we got. I was like, Sam Eagle doing anything? Like
right. So kickoff, one of the things they announced, we'll just kind of go through these kind of off the top here. We don't do a lot with the overseas parks, but Disneyland Hong Kong has announced that Frozen Land is going to be opening on November 20th, the world of Frozen. It looks fascinating. It looks amazing. There's a coaster really cool. there. It's just really, really cool. I don't know that I'll ever get to the Hong Kong Disneyland anytime soon. I guess, Jen, if we want to do a fam trip out there for the agency, I need to, you can coordinate that with very little drama, hopefully. And so make that happen. Star Tours is going to be getting Ahsoka. And what I mean by Star Tours getting Ahsoka is they will incorporate Ahsoka into the actual ride itself, like the videos itself that you're seeing, the journey that you go on in both parks. So that's coming in the spring. Asha, who is the main character of the Disney Wish, the Disney movie Wish, that's going to throw everybody off.
Yes.
Like,
okay.
have you done the Wish? Oh yeah, we stayed.
I was like, the Disney Wish?
Movie.
Like I was just on that. There's no character. What are you talking about?
Oh my gosh. And next year, Disney has a new movie called The Dream. And so, Asha is the main character from Wish. The trailers look amazing. The trailers look really cool.
You said that. I haven't actually watched the trailers
yet, I'm going to say, I will say this looks like more traditional Disney storytelling, which I think, and I'll be careful when I say this, I think it's something that people have been wanting for a long time. They want, give me traditional Disney storytelling, the traditional animation, the heroine, give me the heroine and a villain.
I love the hand animation, that old style. Like it was so beautiful. I felt like it was very special having that.
We haven't really had a true villain in a while either.
No, the villains have been like Hans from Frozen, which I mean like evil people or, like not nice people, but not like Maleficent.
Right, but I mean, like villains. What Hans was in that was 10 years ago. So we haven't recently had a lot of true villains. We had Zurg in the Buzz Lightyear movie, but he's a villain that we know from 20 years ago. So
that's different.
I want to say it's Chris Pine doing the voice, and I want to say it's King Perfecto or King Magnifique or something like that. It's something
that's fabulous.
Some real obnoxious name. Let's see. Chris Pine, Alan Tudyk, of course, is going to be in this film as well. Let me find Chris Pine's King Magnifico. Magnifico. That's going to be
Magnifico. Okay, that's going to be a fabulous villain. I think
Ariana DeBose, who is an Oscar winner for West Side Story, she's going to be the voice of Asha. And this is going to be a cool movie. I'm looking forward to this movie, and I think this is something they're really putting a lot behind. Not a whole lot is known actually about this movie, even though it's coming out in a couple of months. Because I'm looking on IMDb, and only 3 people are listed as voices: Chris Pine, Alan Tudyk, and Ariana DeBose. So who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? But
I love
that's like
fairy tale sort of storytelling where it's just very like the suspension of disbelief, and you know, like
right.
I love that.
So there is that. Disney Cruise Line announced the name of the newest Disney ship, which, by the way, I called the Disney Adventure. Now, this, of course,
you were so excited. You were like, I
was like, I called it. I'm also calling Celebration as the name of the next one, which I think in D23 next year, I think we will find out the name of the new ship because they announced they have 3 more ships coming.
I could see that.
I don't know if the Adventure is one of the 3 ships. I don't think it is.
So I think Adventure is the one that they purchased, because remember they had announced the 3 ships.
That is the one they purchased because it will be over in Southeast Asia.
It's because it's going to be in Southeast.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. Southeast Asia. But like, so we had gotten the name of the one D23. We got the name of the Wish.
Mm-hmm.
Did we get the treasure at last D23?
Last 23. Yep.
Yeah, last D23 is when we got that one. Right. And so then, obviously the Adventure here, but then I think next D23 we'll get the name of the 3rd ship that was originally announced.
Yeah, so we got the adventure coming. Of course, we talked about the treasure in previous episode, which admittedly, I did say adventure, but I also said something like, I don't know if they would call it adventure because we just have the treasure, but they're calling it adventure. So there's
love it.
that.
I think it's great.
And of course, Lighthouse Point is getting Lookout Key. I believe that's the name of their little area for Lighthouse Point, and that will be sailing out of like the new port they're building in Fort Lauderdale and the Everglades, Everglade Point. Yeah, so the new port coming up.
Port Everglades, Fort Lauderdale.
Yep, that's it. Port Everglades. So Newport coming up. There'll be a new. Basically, it's like Castaway Key, but it's a different island. So you'll have multiple islands to go to.
It's still in the Bahamas.
It's gonna be great. It's gonna be fantastic. And so again, a fam trip to this. We can fly from there to Hong Kong as an agency. So it should be great.
Sure.
So there is something happening over at Disneyland. Well, first of all, this is not on D23, but I have to announce this. Rogers the Musical past recording album will be streaming this weekend. Only available
Are you
on
so
digital
excited,
and streaming.
David?
I'm very excited. It will be available on digital download and streaming, available on the 15th. And you're going to have, I'm like, there's like 7 or 8 songs in this entire thing. So it's all released and I will be listening to it from day one. I'm very excited about this. I don't know why. I haven't seen the show. I haven't actually taken the time to watch the show on YouTube.
I was going to say, I'm sure it's on YouTube.
But I've heard it's fantastic. The other thing they mentioned about Disneyland, and for the audience, by the way, we're not going to hit every single point. So if you're like, talking about so-and-so,
we just have to hit the big ones.
Much, right? There's something I don't fully understand. Okay, so Walt Disney Imagineer Brent Strong released a video on Instagram revealing a world-jumping vehicle in development for the future Avengers campus attraction at California Adventure. Now, this will combine the elements of Tony Stark's suit with Xandarian jump points and Wakanda technology to create a vehicle that can transport heroes to remote worlds in a matter of moments. I don't. Is this a ride? Is this something where like the characters will come out of? If you're using the
word jump point, I'm immediately going Guardians. You know, because
that is Guardians, but I mean, it's combining that technology.
Like a similar.
I don't know. Well, it says, it does say when it opens, it'll be the 3rd attraction at Avengers Campus. So I don't know if it will be like you said, a motion simulator of some sort, or I don't know. It just,
I hope it's some sort of like a physical coaster. I don't know how much. I'm sure there's space somewhere. I don't know.
Well, and what threw me off was when it said it will transport heroes to remote worlds. And so what I was imagining was, you know how Figment has this big circle tunnel that lights up and people, I was imagining like we would have some sort of cool vehicle that lights up.
Or like a Space Mountain tunnel that
and that's how the heroes come out to greet meet guests. I was imagining that. I'm like, but is this a ride? I'm so confused.
But it's a ride. I'll be
interested
to see honestly how that is, because
fam trips Disneyland, obviously, so we'll have to see that.
Obviously.
So a lot of the stuff happened at Disney World, and we're going to kind of talk about these one by one here. And let's talk about first. The Hatbox Ghost is in fact coming. We knew it was coming, but now we're going to get it late November. No dates specified. I think it will be something where it just appears like all of a sudden it's there. They say late November, it'll be a Tuesday, and people who ride it don't see it. It'll be a Wednesday, and there it is. And all of a sudden people will be like streaming about it. And Disney might start saying something about Hatbox Ghost is here now, but I don't think they're going to announce the first day is going to be on, November the 23rd.
Well, we haven't heard it yet, but I mean, to me, and this is Jen's opinion. I would think that if possible, they would want Hatbox there for like Halloween time.
That's what I was thinking too.
More like October-ish.
But
I could be wrong.
I can't speak for how technologically advanced this is. I don't know. I don't know if this is something
it might not even be ready,
or is something like Hopper from It's Tough to Be a Bug, where it's one of the most complex audio animatronics. Not that you would know because you never go to the attraction.
No, because
and we'll get
terrible.
there, by the way. Jen, something's happening with the Country Bears. I don't know if you've heard
it might
about
be too soon for me to talk about.
I don't know if you've heard about this, but they are changing the Country Bears, and admittedly this has gotten a lot of blowback online because people are not happy about this. So what they have said is they are changing the playlist, and they are moving to having the Bears basically sing Disney songs in a Country Bear style. So of course the one they presented was Bare Necessities, and of course you had one of the Bears Bare Necessities, Bare Necessities, like that. And so I don't know what songs they're going to use. I'm not really sure. Maybe they'll do a Let It Go. I have no idea. But they are taking away some of the old stuff. They're taking away the old stuff. And when I told this to my dear wife, she literally stuck her lip out and pouted. My beautiful wife, who's in her mid-40s, stuck her lip out and actually pouted and said, "Why are they doing this?" We had a whole discussion about why and that kind of thing. But yeah. So Jen, your thoughts on this?
Jen does have thoughts. Okay. am generally a positive person, and I am looking for the silver lining. At first, I was very terrified they were going to be like, and we're closing the Country Bears to do something else. And then when they're saying revamp the Country Bears, I'm like, oh, we're fixing the animatronic. We're getting the Country Bears back. Like, because this is Jen's childhood, right? Like, we went to the Country Bears. My parents love shows. So we would always go to the Country Bears. Brady grew up going to the Country Bears. Now over the years, they've adjusted the show a little bit. They've shortened the show. They've cut a few acts, whatever. But largely, this is the same act from 1970.
Yes.
Was that opening day? But
Something
I mean,
like that.
Super early, right, in the park. This is not an e-ticket attraction. This is never going to be an e-ticket attraction. Okay. However, it does hold the hearts of many people because of childhood, and it is so tongue-in-cheek. It is, I mean, so I am glad they're not getting rid of the Country Bears. I am skeptical because part of the reason I love it is that it really is sort of, I don't want to say off-brand, but it's not just IP the whole way through. I mean, the Country Bears are IP because it's not like they got that from anywhere else, but it's just because it's so unexpected. You have like Big Al singing about blood on the saddle. You're like, what is even happening right now? And he's laughing and you're just like, I can't believe this, but I just laugh. So and no shade, I'm sure the new musicians from Nashville are like fantastic. I'm sure they're going to do a great job with that. But I will admit that I'm already sad to see parts of this current show go. And I don't know how I feel about it. Because like them singing Bare Necessities, I'm like,
it's a little too on the point. It's a little too on the nose.
It's a little too, but I will give it a chance. And I do understand. Listen, Walt always said that things needed to grow and change. Nothing can stay the same. I understand. My point is going to be Tiki Room under new management. That show literally lit itself on fire.
Whatever happened there,
we don't know what happened there, but like, I did not enjoy that version of the Tiki Room. Right. And then they brought it back to basically the original Tiki Room with like some adjustments, which is my beloved Tiki Room. So maybe, but you know what? It could be great. Maybe I'll get there and I'll be like, oh my God, I'm so glad they changed it. There's always that chance. I will give it a shot.
I think, and this is just me personally, I haven't read anything, but obviously the Country Bear songs are very dated in terms of the society of the 70s, not now.
It is.
You have the main bear telling what's her name that if he can find a ladder, he'll be right up. The three bears are singing, if you all the guys that turn me on, turn me down. You got one guy talking about if you can't bite, don't growl. I mean, there are some, I don't want to say adult themes, and I don't want to use the word racy at all, but there are things that are above like a 5-year-old's head. Exactly. And there's the big bear holding the glass of wine, which I still watch. I'm like,
tears will be the chaser for your wine.
Tears will be the chaser for your wine, which you now can buy and be our guest. And so I get it. I don't like it. I honestly would have rather them come up with brand new songs for the Country Bears, brand new stinking songs.
Now that
new songs,
yes,
maybe throw in a Disney classic here and there, but have brand new songs. Maybe we don't get Blood in the Saddle, but maybe we get something like, my
updated for current country music, because all of those are actually old country songs, which is have mind-blowing.
Songs that are earworms. Have Big Al singing, my thighs hurt when I ride bareback or something. I don't know, something goofy.
Big Al sings Blood on the Saddle, period, end of story. That just has to continue to be Blood on the Saddle.
And I have faith that they're going to do a good job with what they're trying to do. I just, but I will say this, one of my biggest point of contention is they're changing the name of Liver Lips to Romeo.
But why?
That I don't understand.
Why?
I'm like, it's Liver Lips. He's the one with a really long snout. That kind of poke out. And so
kind of patterned after Bob Dylan a little bit.
Yeah. So Liver Lips McGraw. Now he's going to be Romeo McGraw. And I don't go to that. He
will always be Liver Lips in my heart.
Yeah, he really will be. I'll be like, liver lips. What's up, liver lips? So that's Country Bears. Something a little more positive, though. The Pirates of the Caribbean is getting a Pirates Lounge. There is a lounge coming to the area. They've said that new experiences will be happening. So I don't know if it'll be like Trader Joe's or Trader Sam's, whichever Trader Sam's over at Polynesian. There's a Trader Joe's up the road. Trader Sam's over at Polynesian, where like you get specialty drinks and the things light up and it's really small. I don't know if it'll be like that.
I mean,
the Barker Bird is returning.
That I was so
which
excited
is really
about.
Cool. Jen, tell us a little bit about the Barker Bird. I had to look this up yesterday.
So Barker Bird is actually out front in Disneyland still. But basically it's the animatronic parrot that is currently sitting toward the end of the attraction, like when you go into that last room and there's the hairy leg that's like dangling over the Barker Bird is currently sitting there. During one of the refurbs in, what was it, the late 90s or early 2000s, I think.
2006.
2006. Okay, yeah.
They moved him.
They moved the Barker Bird inside. But basically, you would just like kind of say phrases in passing at the guests as they were going into the attraction. And yeah, I'm very excited that he is coming back, and hopefully we'll have maybe even a better shtick than before. And I'm sure with the technology evolution, like they could have the Barker Bird interact with you somehow in a different way than he just used to, like, call phrases. But I remember when I went back to Disneyland for the first time, and I was like, oh my gosh, it's the Barker Bird. Like, he's great. So yeah, he's a cute little parrot.
Yes, he is a mascot modeled after Juan the Barker Bird in the Enchanted Tiki Room.
Yes.
He's made for pirates. He was created by legendary Imagineer Mark Davis and Ex Astencio. And he used to be outside of pirates, like you said, and he would bark things out like, heave ho, mateys, and there will be longboats waiting by the Pirates Cove, waiting to take you to the Spanish Main.
piratey things.
Basically bringing you into the Pirates of the Caribbean. And so now he will be back, which is exciting.
That's great.
I think that's cool. So that's coming as well. Let's jump over to Epcot. Moana, World of Water. The water journey.
Journey of Water.
The Journey of Water, that too. That's going to be opening October 16th. Of course, they're in soft openings now to a point where cast members, past all the previews are happening. So there's all that. Moana will have a permanent meet and greet right there. So,
which is great because people want to meet Moana. Yes, she needed a permanent location.
So here's the pro. This looks like an amazing attraction.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Amazing attraction. Here's the con. It reminds me of a little bit of a hyped up. Well, let me say it this way. I'm hoping this will be an area that you can walk from one side to the other through as you're walking to World Showcase. Okay. And if you want to experience the attraction fully, you can take a left, take a right, veer off, and kind of go into all the pathways and everything. But if you don't want to, you can just walk through the beautiful area and see some of the water stuff. I'm hoping this is not an area that I have to walk around every time, because this feels like something that I'm going to be excited about doing a couple of times. But then I'm like, okay, well, I've done this, so let me go do something else. This is not going to be like a Guardians where every time you have to do this, Now, I have not seen it. I have not done it. I have seen only some short video. This looks amazing.
It fantastic.
Does scare me a little bit, where it's like there are some dry paths you can walk on. I'm like, do I want to get soaked at 9 a.m. when I'm trying to get to
fair
to Ratatouille? What's going on? So I'm interested to see the layout of how this is going to look. And
I don't think it would be something where you have to get soaked every time, because a lot of people are not going to want to be soaked at 9 a.m.
Right. But I mean, to experience it, do you have to be willing to get wet? I mean, to see some of the really cool water stuff, do you have to put on your Typhoon Lagoon gear and say, let's go do Moana, Journey of Water. All right, let's hit Blizzard Beach or Typhoon or whatever.
It looks beautiful. I mean, I think the whole area looks beautiful. And I do agree. I hope that there is a cut through, so to speak, just because, like if I'm like heading to Soarin' or something,
right.
I'm going to be like, Soarin', but I'm very excited to experience it. It does look really neat. Also, anything that's going to get the walls down, Epcot's my park. It has had construction walls since 2019.
Since the Spanish Inquisition, it feels like.
I mean, probably. I'm like, give me Epcot back. I love my Epcot.
I want my park back. I want my park back.
And it's going to be worth it. Okay, I'm just going to say that it's going to be worth it. But I'm in COVID postponed stuff, but I want the walls down.
Just to be able to walk from one place to the other without going around a huge circle. Oh my goodness gracious. I mean, people get excited now. We're like, oh, the cut through to the land is now open. This is awesome. We don't have to go all the way up to, we don't have to go to Morocco to cut back to go to Soarin'. I mean, it's just from the front of the park. World Celebration will also be opening up in December. So that's kind of the big community core kind of building there. They're going to have the new meet and greets there. The Walt statue should be there as well.
Cool.
And so there's going to be a lot of cool things happening there at that time. The brand new fireworks show, Luminous, the Symphony of Us. They're really into this whole like US, us, harmonious.
At the end, I know,
Luminous,
harmonious, Luminous,
it's almost like, I mean, whiteboard. Okay, guys, I want you to think of every single word that ends in us. Let's write them all down.
Actually, had that thought. I was like,
Phil, did you say bus? That doesn't work. Get out. Luminous, harmonious, ominous, craziest,
maybe not
whatever.
ominous.
Just probably not. But just writing all the words down, coming up, and we haven't seen previews from it, so I don't know what it's going to look like. I have faith it's going to look great. I'm hoping.
I like that, like the lasers, like, so
yes.
then I'm like, is it going to be more like a help me, Disneyland, the
World
water
of Color?
Thank you.
Water, yeah. I think too that the biggest complaint I think people had with the previous show was Harmonious. Was all those the Stargate right in the middle. It like ruined everybody's sight lines, and it just looks so ugly. And the one thing about Illuminations, whether you like it or don't, that they were able to bring those things in the afternoons.
Exactly.
So you had, so you only had part of the day where this big globe was in the middle, and even then it looked kind of cool. It was just a globe.
But it was not like. I mean, it makes sense. World Showcase. Right. It's a globe. Like that made sense.
Right. So I'm hoping that they don't do this for Luminous where they put a bunch of stuff back in the water that's going to be there all the time.
I do think the other thing with Harmonious, because the soundtrack was great for Harmonious. Absolutely. I love the soundtrack. However, because you couldn't always see the middle of Stargate from all vantage points.
Norway and China or Canada, you could not see it.
You could not see. And so then that makes it harder for people to actually experience the show fully. Because when you could experience it fully, it was like,
cool.
This is a great show. But if you were like in one of those places, you're like, I mean, that's a nice show. Whereas Illuminations, you could see it from literally all around the lagoon.
Right. And I have yet to see Epcot Forever. Every time I go, it's the new show. And Epcot Forever is thrown in there like to kind of the stopgap between the old show and the new show.
Yeah.
And so I'm hoping to be able to see it in November when our entire group goes. I think that's going to be great. So Soarin' Around the World is also coming back for a limited time.
You mean Soarin' Over California?
Sorry, Soarin' Over California. For whatever reason, our beloved agent Meredith decided that she liked Around the World better. We're going to get her into therapy. I don't know what the problem is.
We're trying to work on it.
I can smell the oranges now.
Oh my god!
I just, it's so great.
I love it.
I can see Soarin' with no bendy Eiffel Tower. It's just.
Listen, I still love Soarin' Around the World, but I tell you what, that original, there was nothing like being on that originally. When you're just
Soarin' Around the World. I love Soarin' Over California.
That's a fair.
It's the OG, and I will. Soarin' Around the World is one that I try to go see every time, but if I miss it, I'm like, I hate that I missed that. Okay, let's go get a churro.
Yeah.
Soarin' Over California, I'm like, we have to do this. It's in our plans. We have to do it. It's just it is what it is. We have to go. So yeah, Soarin' Over California is gonna be awesome. I'm excited about that. Test Track getting another refurb. Now they're going to do some of the inspiration from World of Motion. Now, Jen, I did not experience World of Motion, so you're going to have to speak a little bit to what that might look like because I don't know World of Motion.
So I will be honest, that one was one that closed pretty early on for me, so I did not get to experience it as much as Brady would really be able to talk about World of Motion because he went, starting in the early 80s when I was far too young. So, basically, World of Motion was taking you through transportation throughout history, much like Spaceship Earth has evolved over the years to be like the history of communication. World of Motion was a history of transportation. So like talking about like even like cavemen and like stone wheels and things of that nature. And it was still like that whole circular, building because obviously Test Track took that space over for World of Motion. And then I do remember, of course, it was down for a lot of years for a couple of years to be switched over to Test Track. Just some issues with the ride system, and then it had a refurb which made it better. But now like going back to that inspiration and the original idea of Epcot and like the history of things, I am excited because technology has evolved so much since the original World of Motion. I think they can do some super cool things.
See, I love the original Test Track because it was just corny enough to be entertaining and fun.
Oh, well, I liked it too. It was just the ride system.
Yes. Yeah, the ride system. But I mean, with the yellow and the black, the cars and everything. And the guy's like, did we forget to turn the acid off? And that whole thing.
That was great.
Whatever. And then they went to the new, it's almost as if somebody thought this was going to be cooler than it actually was. I've heard it referred to as Tron Track, even before Tron came into the parks, the neon lights and everything. And it's fun. And it's a fun ride to ride with other people. Like it's a fun ride to ride with a group of people. It's not something I do by myself. So I'm really excited about whatever they might do because I think Disney is good at tapping into nostalgia.
Yes.
and bringing something forward to the future. I really think, especially in the last couple of years, I think there's been this, maybe the last 10 years or so, there's such a resurgence of Disney nostalgia.
Yes.
And maybe that's because the people who experienced, I don't want to use the word heyday because Disney hasn't peaked, but people who experienced the 80s and 90s of Disney, the early 2000s, they're now parents. Some of them are now grandparents from the 70s, 60s, and 70s. They now have the money to spend on these things, and they want to see Powerline in the parks, and they want to see World of Motion, and they remember the Odyssey.
They remember all this stuff.
Cranium Command and all that stuff. And so, you know, we're hoping to tap into this and build a new generation of fans that will remember all this stuff.
Well, just you know, in the beginnings, right, in the 70s, let's say the 70s, because obviously Disneyland was, you know, when Walt was still alive, but let's say the 70s, it was really about the IP and the things for when the current boomer population was growing up. Like you have like the Cinderella Castle, you have the Sleeping Beauty, you have like all of those movies represented and those fond memories for them. And then obviously, you know, things have to grow and change. And now that we, you know, we who experienced the parks in the 80s and 90s had like grew up with this stuff, and it's like, but I miss it. Like Horizons, Disney Horizons, please.
So it's funny because I had commented on, or I had put a post up on one of my pages about all the changes that were coming, and it was a few people that were great and they were this exciting. Oh, there were one or two people that were like, I don't like this change. And somebody made a comment about, you know, they don't like the fact that it's changing so much. And I responded back. I'm like, well, Walt Disney said the parks will never be finished.
It has to be changing.
It will never be finished. He's always said that.
Absolutely.
And the response was, when did he say that? I'm like, it's in the books many times in like every biography I've ever read, some interviews. He's always said the parks will always evolve to the future. And I think Walt would be fine with most of it. I'm sure there's some things he'd be like, well, I wish you wouldn't change that. But you know, I think, I think we'd marvel at some of this stuff. But
he absolutely would. But I love, especially whenever they can keep the nostalgia and like, but here's a nod to this. Like, yes, we came from this, so we're still going to pay homage to whatever it is, whatever attraction.
So let's hop over to Animal Kingdom. And of course, the big news from Animal Kingdom is DinoLand. Everybody's been talking about DinoLand and how that is pretty much going away. It's going to get hit by a meteor called Progress, and dinosaurs will be extinct. And so they're going to take it out. They're going to replace it.
And there are people who are very upset about this.
Yes, there are. But this is going to be called Tropical Americas.
Yes.
And so, which by the way, Americas constitutes more than just our country. It's the North America and South America
and Central America.
And Central America too. So all of that. And because they played some music, which sounded like Indiana Jones, and they inferred that. And hear me now, folks, they never confirmed Encanto or Indiana Jones.
They did not.
They hinted, but they never confirmed it.
Correct.
And so every site you see, it's confirmed. This is coming. Probably, but we don't know.
I feel like it's a safe bet.
Yes, it's very true. Well, because we know that the ride for the dinosaur ride is the same track as Indiana Jones.
And the silver lining there being dinosaur is a little bit terrifying for young ones.
A little bit, you know. We're coming back with one passenger extra large. So a little bit of that. And I mean, some of that is also dated too. Of course, you have the dinosaur puppet and everything. Hello there. Gotta get the guy on the show. He's not doing anything. So I'm honestly fine with this. I'm fine with DinoLand going away. As soon as they took Primeval World out with no plan to put anything there, I was like,
it was already on the way out.
It's on the way out.
Okay.
People are wondering about Encanto. It's like, why does it fit there? Because Encanto takes place in a Colombia-style country, which is tropical Americas. It's lush. It's beautiful. That fits. I think it fits perfectly.
I think it fits beautifully.
You know, I don't know if they'll do a magical house of some sort. I think the Boneyard fits perfectly for Indiana Jones.
I was going to say, they don't even have to get rid of that, because that can be the excavation for the Indiana Jones.
What I would love is for them to do an Indiana Jones ride, but make it a brand new story. So like over there, you have like the Temple of the Forbidden Eye or something like that. Over here, do something completely different. The chase for the dangerous pony or something. I don't know whatever you call it, but just something. I know. But just something different, because you have the track layout. All you have to do is do the theming and just do the theming differently. Put the animatronics in different places and do whatever. I think that would be really cool, because you want to do both of them now.
Okay, and
that one, I want to do this one.
Let's be real. Triceratops Spin probably isn't going anywhere, but it might become like Encanto themed or
Probably,
like
maybe.
that.
I don't know. The problem with Triceratops Spin is
it in the blazing heat?
I've experienced this doing parkeology challenges or trying to ride every ride in one day. That's the only time I ever ride this, or the one time I had to ride it with my kid when he really wanted to ride it. In February, March, not too bad. It's 2 o'clock. It's about 78 degrees out here. Whatever. July, you ride that puppy. That is fiberglass, and your legs are burning.
Hot.
Unless you have shorts that go down to your knees, which some girls don't, you're gonna leave skin on that.
Yes,
that seat. It is
baking.
The line is hot. There's no shade over there. There's
but
like
the good news is they could fix that. They could fix the shade issue.
Put a flipping tent over it. I mean,
like they have listen, even Magic Carpets has a tent.
Raise in the line by 3 cents. And in a month, you're going to have enough to put a really fancy tent there, probably more than you need. But yes, you're right. Aladdin has at least tents over. It has the
tents for the line.
Dumbo has tents where you can kind of has the circus tent.
The circus tent ahead of
before
time.
You get on the ride itself. But there is nothing. It's just hot in the sun. Plus, like all those games that are out there. Are they extra, I don't even know. Are they extra money? I have no idea.
They are. No, you have to pay for those games. It's like it's like every theme park in the world or like amusement park in the world that has the games.
Yeah.
And it's like occasionally you see people there doing stuff, but it's not that frequent. And so I think that space was due for some love.
Yes.
So
yeah, well, the story is that Chester and Hester were two people, and there's a whole long backstory behind this. They actually did this, but Chester and Hester were two people who wanted to build a roadside fair next to an interstate, so they did, and they got a lot of business. They had the games and different stuff on the
because
rides.
Of the dig.
Exactly. But when they built the new interstate, not too far from there, everything dried up, and so that's why it looks very barren or whatever. But it's Chester and Hester, which this is a Disney story. It doesn't really happen, as far as I know, but. But yeah, I'm fine with it changing over to tropical Americas.
I'm okay with that. And I think Encanto needs a representation because it's such a huge like new classic.
Yep. Of course, we're getting over at Magic Kingdom. We're getting the
Mirabelle. Well, I wouldn't be surprised if that eventually moves over though. The Mirabelle.
You think?
Well, maybe not. But
it depends. Okay, so it depends on how popular Asha is. If Asha becomes a princess like Moana or whatever, they will eventually put her there. But I think Mirabelle will stay there for a little while. I do. Merida was there for 10 years, for almost 12 years. And so she was there for a long time. Because it's a cool little area. That's where I saw Rapunzel. She was there for 5 years, I think. When I met Rapunzel in that whole area. So they're decorating the whole area. I think I saw pictures where the whole family tree, like you see in the movie, is now in that area as well. And so that's gonna be fun. But yeah, Encanto it would be cool over there. Jen, whenever D23 was going on, I heard taps in the distance. I think you were playing it because you heard the news about Zootopia. And it looks like, again, not confirmed, but it looks as if it's tough to be a bug, maybe going away, as they're going to install a Zootopia show into this. I know that you're upset. During our next trip, Jen, in November, we need to all make sure that we ride that attraction together, just in case they close it early. We don't know. But no more lizards poking you in the back, no more maggots and cockroaches under your legs, no more spritzy water and bad scent from Claire de Lune. And so, I know you're excited.
If I could, when that announcement happened, the clouds parted. The sun shone. My heart soared. I was like, you mean I get to walk through the Tree of Life again and not have to ride that abomination? I'm sorry. I know people love it. Okay. I don't. I hate bugs. Don't tell me it's cute. I do not like feeling like there's cockroaches under my butt. The first time the bee stung me in the spine, I was like, what is happening? Why am I here? Somebody get me out of this like immediately. This is not okay. And I did not go on that thing again until I was forced because we were with first timers. I was like, oh my God. I'm like sitting at the edge of the seat so that like the bee's not stinging me in the back. I'm like, I cannot think of anything better. And I love Zootopia. So I was like,
pollinators.
No, that, and then on the Disney hold music. So like when you would have to call in, that used the Beauty and the Bees used to be. Oh my gosh, I would be like,
oh yeah, that's nuts.
Can we make this stop? No. And listen, I did see A Bug's Life. It was a cute film. It was fine. I don't need to see it again. And I need it to go away.
Here's how you know when a ride is kind of seeing its horizons. When they stop fixing the ride. Hopper, which is the grasshopper, is an incredible piece of machinery.
Oh,
it's one of the most, at the time,
I will say
time
that,
anyway,
it was amazing.
It was the most complex animatronic on property. was just incredible with like several hundred points of movement or whatever. Incredible. A lot of times he doesn't work.
Yeah.
Sometimes he doesn't appear at all. So you just hear Hopper's voice going, "What are you doing, Flick?" From the background. Because they don't seem to be trying to fix that at all. It made me think, I wonder if they have something else in store for this. And Zootopia makes sense with the animal world.
Absolutely.
Complete animal world. I love that.
Totally makes sense.
So we will see Zootopia there. So yeah, anything we missed off the top of your head? I don't know that there's anything else we missed, maybe. I'm looking.
I mean, they teased a few things. The other thing that they teased at the same point was, and this is, I want to say, correct me if I'm wrong, it's a first because Disney is very much, they're close to the chest with things, right? They don't announce until they are ready. Like it has to be this is definitely happening. Typically they have a date in mind, not that they announce the date, right? But it's at least there. They've been pretty, is transparent the word, about like there's some of their blue sky ideas. Like last year D23, they talked about Beyond the Spires, Beyond Big Thunder.
Yes, Beyond Big Thunder Mountain.
Thank you. Beyond Big Thunder Mountain. And there's a lot of speculation. And so they actually talked a little bit more about that, saying that it's in hyperdrive. I was like, got a little bit like excited for a minute, like, oh my gosh, are they going to announce what this is? Like, and they're saying, because this is like, they are saying biggest expansion, like bigger than New Fantasyland, which was huge. Like that was highly anticipated. There was so much, around that. We did not get more details. I'm not surprised because that is something that's more like a D23, and probably I'm sure they know exactly. Well, they have a very firm idea. How about that? Maybe not all of the details, but that is something that people are excited about and speculating, and we all have ideas, but hopefully next year we will get to hear.
Well, it excites me to hear Josh say that's going into overdrive. I'm excited about that.
Yeah, I'm very excited.
And I'm excited about the idea of an expansion that's as big as, because for those who don't know, New Fantasyland picks up Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, Be Our Guest Restaurant, Bell's Enchanted,
the Enchanted Tales with Belle.
Exactly, Enchanted Tales with Belle, the Little Mermaid attraction, which is right there. That whole area is New Fantasyland. That all came to fruition. They're saying the size of Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, and that's the Falcon. That's all that whole area there. Pandora, that's a huge area, and they've got the space for it, obviously. And so they're going to be building something massive. Which, of course, when they announce it, we're not going to see it for 5 years, but we know it's coming. And so here's my thing. Okay, so the good news is I am very excited about this. I'm very excited about what we're going to hear. All the pressure now is on D23 next year, and to your point, you have mentioned before that the Destination D in Orlando, they don't make a ton of massive announcements.
No,
they put those in the big one like D23, which D23 Park is should be just incredible. From Disney fans, from my perspective, I think Disney fans want something to hold on to. They want something to look to. They want something to know it's coming. To know that a big expansion is coming, and that's it. I think that's hard for a lot of Disney fans because they want something, I don't want to say concrete, but they want something to play with, to work with. Because what I've seen in the last week or so, people aren't even talking about Magic Kingdom. They're talking about DinoLand. And people are like, Encanto's coming and Indiana Jones is coming. We don't know what's going to happen.
I think that was very exciting.
Because, and again, Disney, and even on their webpage, I looked at Disney Parks blog just a minute ago. It doesn't say, it just says, we're considering, basically inspired by, we're thinking with consideration, but people are going nuts with that. Josh
had said, watching that too a little bit just to see what the reaction is,
if Josh had said, something like, well, and our plans might be considered a little evil to some people, and left it at that, people would have gone nuts. And that is what people would be talking about. But because he didn't, I feel like a lot of these small announcements were going away. And to your point, you're right. The big announcements are coming. But here's also my thing too. And I keep going back to this. Quasi-producer Heather, you should just stop the podcast right now. Advance forward 2 minutes because you're not going to like any of this. I'll respectfully disagree. But there's a theme park coming down the road. And we've talked about this ad nauseum, Epic Universe 2025. Universal has been giving us hints all the way around. We're seeing pictures of coasters being built. We're seeing Mario Land being built. We're seeing all this being built. And I know for many years, Disney has said, we don't try to compete. We just do Disney. And that's understandable. They haven't had to. They just do Disney. I think we're coming to a point where Disney has to start going, you know what? We need to start competing a little bit here because it's swinging for the fences. And I have no doubt they're going to swing for the fences. Whatever expansion is coming, it's going to be massive.
Oh, it's going to be amazing.
When Universal released Harry Potter in 2008, they're like, hey, we got a Harry Potter land. Disney was like, guess what we've got coming? we got Marvel. We just bought it. It's coming. And so, when they put a new Harry Potter land like 2013,
Star Wars around then too?
I was going to say in 2012 they bought Star Wars, but that's when Universal were saying, "Hey, we're going to build a new Harry Potter
Diagon Alley.
area
That was
Diagon Alley." And Disney's like, "Guess what? We just bought Star Wars. Guess what's coming?" And every time Universal would do something, they're like, "Hey, guess what? We got Pandora coming." I mean, they would do something big.
Yeah.
They haven't done that yet. And what I'm afraid is going to happen is that Disney is going to make some big announcements in the fall, which is going to be awesome. Universal is going to be like, "Oh, well, guess what? 2 can play this game. Guess what we've got coming? We got a theme park," and just going to be like throwing all their stuff out there, and just there's an overshadowing that's going to happen, and that's what I'm afraid of.
So no, but I'm also I'm just going to throw this out there too, because they both are. Nobody wants to necessarily let the other ones know exactly what's coming, because no one wants somebody else to steal ideas, right? Okay,
right. And
there is a bit, and I'm going to say this: Disney has the nostalgia edge.
Yes.
That, listen, all respect to Universal. Okay. And they have some great IP right now. Like, people love Harry Potter. People love Jurassic Park. People love, we know Mario. Like, that is not as nostalgic as Disney. Disney will always have that. That's something that Universal never can't. I don't want to, at least not for the foreseeable future. How about that? I'm sure down the, 80 years from now, then there will be nostalgia involved, with Universal. Absolutely. Because they were newer on the block then in terms of theme parking than Disney. So I think that there is a little bit of, there's always going to be a little tit for tat. Like, we're doing this. Oh, we're doing this. Oh, we're doing this. Like, SeaWorld doesn't do that, but
yeah. Well, and to your point too, and you're right about this. And I know it sounds like, oh my gosh, he's loving some Epic Universe. I think that has problems too with some of the branding, because Mario is cool, but Mario, it's almost like they're having to force it to be relevant. I mean,
because let's say
for people my age, like, Mario's awesome. My kid could care less about Mario.
I was going to say
anything about Mario at all.
They might be better off doing what's that Minecraft thingy with the...
Exactly. How to Train Your Dragon is 3 great movies, but they're not like movies that are out now. I mean, like, you remember the dragon, I think Toothful. I don't remember the dragon's name. I don't remember the main character's name. I don't. I think personally, for me, the classic monsters universe is the most coolest thing to me, where you have the classic Dracula and Frankenstein or whatever.
Well, and I think that's going to do really well.
Exactly. I think it's going to do, and I think the park will do really well. But you're right. There's not near as much nostalgia for that as Disney has for their stuff. And really,
so they always are going to have that.
Yeah. And I'm not saying that Josh should have come out and be like, "Guess what, guys? We're building a villains park. There's going to be a Hades coaster, and you know what? We listened to episode 127 with Heather and Dave with the villains park. We're taking all those ideas." Which, by the way, if you haven't listened to that episode, that's a great episode.
And also, we are not saying that that's what's coming, because we don't know.
I'm not saying we don't know.
But that is a rumor. That is a rumored thing that has been going on for.
But just one
decades
of an inference, like they did with Indy and Encanto,
I don't think they were ready.
Disney people just to clinch, and I think that's
I think
maybe they're not ready.
I don't think they were ready to put it out. Not that they weren't ready, but they weren't ready to maybe. That just tells me they're not in the place to commit to enough of that to say, like, okay, this is what it is. But I am going to be excited in the meantime and speculate my brains out about what it could
absolutely be. I honestly, I give D23 last year, I give it a C. I give this one a B+. I think it could be a little bit better, but I think it was very positive. I think there's a lot of great stuff coming.
I would have had it as a solid A, except I'm my country bears.
There you go. See, not everything's perfect, and my beloved stuff to be a bug.
I'm going to give it.
I mean.
Oh no, that actually just that shot it up. I mean, actually probably like A+. So like I have maybe a solid A because of the country bears.
Maybe the country bears will sing the pollinator song. That would be great. We're pollinators.
No.
We're pollinators.
No.
It could work.
No.
That's a perfect way to end it. Jen, I believe that you are going to London soon. Is that correct?
Yeah, in a couple of weeks. London, Paris, Brady's birthday trip. So very cool. Exciting. Yep. He has been wanting to get back to Paris
I think it's awesome.
For quite some time. So going to be such a good time going with some friends, and we're going to have a lovely time. I'm sure more to come on that as plans are still underway, because again, we're our own worst travel agent.
Yes, we really are. My beloved staff
really should not be leaving these things this long.
Stuck her head in the office, and she goes, "Did you set up our excursions and everything?" We talked about excursions. We have our cruise coming up to the Pacific Northwest.
That's right. You're going to.
We got our excursion set up, and she was like, "But we'll be in Vancouver for the entire day. But we have anything to do?" And I was like, I mean, I guess we could watch TV at the room. So she's like, I'm not going to Vancouver and watching TV in the room all day. Find us something to do and we'll whatever. And I'm like, okay, I got, so yes, we are our own worst travel agents. I'm too busy making sure that my Disney fantasy trip that I just booked for a family next spring is all taken care of. And you've got this and whatever.
Right. We're like on all the details.
I'm like, thank you notes and whatever. And me, I'm like, I guess we're leaving next week, but I don't know what we're doing. So, yes. So Jen, where can we find you on the great white interwebs to people to follow you and follow you around?
Yeah. Upon a Star Jen, and at Jen_Novotny is my personal Instagram.
Perfect. You can find me, of course, at The Magic on a Dollar on Instagram and Magic on a Dollar and Disney on a Dollar over on Facebook. And find us, of course, at Upon a Star Travel and all the places, the TikToks and the Twitters and the X's and the, I don't know, maybe live journals and the Zengas and the whatever, MySpaces, whatever else. I'm sure that we're all out there for some stuff. Sure. And of course, find our show, The MSE Podcast. Find us at gmail.com. That's our email address. Send us an email. Let us know what you think about D23. Did you enjoy the conference? Did you enjoy the con? Did you what ideas do you have as well? And of course, any questions you have, we're always gathering questions for an upcoming Q&A. We'd love to do more Q&A shows as well. Coming up in next week or so, we should have our good friend Melissa, friend of the show, who is the host of the Food for Thoughtcast. She is right now, today, at Epcot, experiencing her first Food and Wine Festival in a very long time.
Her socials are like
putting pictures
killer.
Up.
Amazing.
She said that she cannot wait to talk about. She told me she can't wait to talk about Woody's Roundup, and she said she specifically asked the server to try every dish. She wanted to try everything. She explained that she's a chef.
Well, she's a chef, right?
Yeah. And she was like, even the plant-based stuff, I want to try everything. Let me try. And they did. They let her try every single dish.
That's amazing.
So she's going to report on that. So she's going to come back hopefully with a full foodie report next week.
Yay!
Coming up as well in 2 weeks, we got the Geeks are coming back.
Yes.
The I Am Geek, and of course, a good friend of the show, Derek, is coming. We're going to be talking all about Disney movies and Disney songs and things like that for a very, very fun episode. And so I believe next week we are going to try to do a live show.
We are
on YouTube for the first time, Wednesday, 7:30 Central, 8:30 Eastern. Tell your friends, tell your family, whatever. We have 5 people watching the show.
Hey,
awesome. I will consider success. And I believe that we're going to do our updated roller coaster list. We do this every year where we update our roller coaster. This one will have Tron on it. We'll kind of see where the roller coasters are. Have they fallen? Have they risen or whatever? So that's all coming very, very soon. So until then, folks, that's for Jen. This is Dave. And don't forget to thank your Phoenicians.
Thank you for listening to the Main Street Electrical Podcast. You can find us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at the MSE Podcast, or visit our website at themsepodcast.com. Be sure to subscribe, and may all your wishes come true.